to be here. I also would like to thank you, the forum, and agreed to share their inspiring experiences today. So maybe at first you could briefly introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about your stories, and then I will ask you a few questions about your profile and your experiences. And then, if you want, there will be maybe 5 or 10 minutes of questions if some of you have questions. So, yes, at first.
It's a good thing to begin with.
Okay.
So hello, my name is Izabela. I am the owner and the designer behind Bebemos.com. We do crochet toys and we are a social enterprise. We employ about 100 women here in Istanbul. Those are all women coming from a little bit underprivileged backgrounds. Those are women who are stay-at-home mothers, who have no other opportunity to work for many reasons. Some because they like education, some because they have 2, 3 kids, young age, and you know, childcare in Turkey is not something very easy, it's something very costly, so they don't have people to take care of their children so that they can work outside of their house. Some of them for cultural or maybe religious reasons will not be allowed to go and work outside of their home. So we provide them with flexible work opportunities. They can come to our workshop to get their supplies, to get their training, and so on, and they can work from their homes. And then come back, bring us what they've done, and then we will be paying them. There is a nice Turkish law which is allowing us to function in a very nice way and to give them a very fair income. We're growing slowly. We sell mostly abroad because those products are handmade. It takes a long time to do them, and the Turkish market is not very favorable to that kind of products. But we're very successful abroad. We sell in about 90 stores in Europe and in the US, and now we have a website and we have a web warehouse in the United States, and we're developing over there. It's been 2 years, I guess. Now we started also integrating Syrian refugee mothers into our group because we think that it's a big chunk of the population here, and they are the most disadvantaged because of their language barriers and because of the fact that they are really, out of their homes and out of their country, and it's very difficult for them to find work opportunities in Turkey. And this is a very nice way to actually help them to integrate. Past the fact that they're making a living, they're making an additional income, which for most of them provides enough money to pay for food for a family of 4. The fact that they're mingling and mixing with Turkish families and with Turkish women allows them to have opportunities to integrate into the Turkish society better.
Okay, I'm Zeynep, and I'm Turkish, and I work as the head of communications for a private school, and what I do professionally has nearly nothing to do with what I do as a volunteer, and I've been volunteering with the Syrian community for the past 3 years. I think all of us here have known each other for the past 3 or 4 years. And I work with many community initiatives. I don't work with big NGOs, and sometimes we do things with them. But I prefer community centers that are local and small, and I believe in community initiatives that are centered on neighborhood relationships. And one of the places that I volunteer for is the Women to Women Refugee Kitchen, and we have a stand, and the stand's over there. And we're going to talk about the kitchen and other initiatives. That's it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shahla Raza. I come from India, and I run the Yusra Community Center here. We also have a table there, so after you're done, you can go and look at some of the things that we are making. The community center started in 2016, and it started as a safe space and an information hub for a Syrian refugee community that was living in the Pati neighborhood. When we first started, it wasn't. It was mainly meant as a. Excuse me. It started as a distribution center for funds and donations that we were getting from the community in Istanbul for the refugee community. And we gradually expanded to become a safe space for children. And currently we have a school readiness program for out-of-school children and who are under 6 years of age. And the over 6-year-olds we enroll into the local Turkish schools. The project that we are doing with the women currently, which is we make bags and other environmentally friendly products out of recycled and donated fabrics. We support the zero waste lifestyle. We don't buy any of the fabric. All our fabric is scrap fabric from factories and donated fabric from leftover things. And we believe in we believe in zero waste. And we mainly work with the refugee women in the area. We have a workshop in our center set up with machines where they come. We give the women get training in whatever products we are making, and then they work there for however many hours they want to work there. And 80% of what we make out of these products goes to the women, and 20% goes back into the business. And so that at the moment, this project only started 3 months ago, and we've only been doing this 3 months for the last 3 months. Before this, we tried a few other things that we wanted to do to support livelihood options for the women, but it was a lot of hit and miss because there were we tried home cooking, for example, and that required a lot of hygiene problems and space, and it just wasn't feasible and sustainable. And so we abandoned that project. This project is extremely convenient, and it works on the available time that the women have and when they can come and work. And also because we also have a child care facility there, the women, it's easier for the women to bring their children there, drop them off, and then continue with the work. One of my little ones is here and she's listening to me. And that's what we are currently doing, and we've only been working 3 months, and hopefully we'll be able to expand a little bit and a little slowly and include many more women, because currently we work with only a very small group of women, but we've had a lot of interest from the community and a lot of women want to join the project. Unfortunately, we don't have the space and we don't have the machines either to include many women. So we've also started a lot of stuff that the women can make at home, like the gratunettes and the tawashis. And so they work on that at home, and then they just bring it and we sell it for them in various markets. It's online, and we also go for these bazaars and things wherever we can. But it's only been 3 months, so I'm not able to judge how much progress we've made so far. But yeah, there's lots of things I can talk about later when we open up for discussion. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Sandrine. I feel very humble because our kind of business is kind of different. I'm very admirative to everything you have been set up, and also the fact, like Zeynep was mentioning, it's been 3-4 years that we know each other, and we really see like it's slow. It's really taking time before we find a place where we have to be and how to sell and motivate the women and so on. So congratulations. So I'm the co-founder of Jana, with Olga being the other co-founder. We set up Jana about three years ago because we we had a grant from the US Embassy, and the grant was aimed at entrepreneurship of refugees. And then when we look at entrepreneurship of refugees, we saw there was limited number of people who had really this startup, high-level skills to build something which is really innovative. But on the other side, there were like a lot of women who needed some support to develop some occupation. And so we said, okay, this is really what we want to do. We want to support women coming from disadvantaged areas. Mainly we work with Syrian refugees, but we also work, among others, with Bebemos, with Turkish women. We want to help them to develop their business in a financially sustainable way, being alone or collectively. So what we do, we are contacting all these wonderful people and we say, how can we help you? And little by little, with the experience, we develop some products that are, working good. For example, now with Yusra, it's been 2 years, we have done a program on financial literacy, developing some workshops about finance, about discussing about money, about savings, which is important because they don't always have the habit of savings, but that means that when something happens, they don't have the money to catch up with that. But we've seen that sometimes it was really difficult. So for example, we work with Bebemos, and the idea is that everything they receive from Bebemos, a part will go for them, a part will go for savings. Now what we realized also working with Bebemos, among others, is that for some of the women, the notion of working was very difficult. Of course they want to work, they want to have a high salary and so on, but the notion of commitment on the other side of what it will require to get to somewhere is taking some time. So that's why with Yusra we start recently kind of every 2 weeks kind of discussion about what is work, how come that I'm working, I get 10 TL, but you sell these toys at 30 TL in the shop, or how come that person who is doing maybe the design of the product is getting more money than me who is doing it. So we're starting to discuss all of these things. Together with Olga as well, she developed a program called Business Mindset, which is really about how do we work together. Most of them, they prefer to work from home. They don't really want, because also it's not their natural community. They've been coming from different regions in Syria, and so of course some of them know each other, most of them, they don't know each other. So they're not especially friends, maybe they're getting to get friends, but so they prefer to work alone. So what does it take to work together, to give constructive feedback, to take feedback? So we're doing this. So we've had a project in Gaziantep as well, to support 15 women to set up the business. We had business like organic cosmetic, we had a fitness center only for women, we had a chocolate house, different kind of thing, a tourism agency, different things. And now we are starting a 2-year project, which is funded by the European Union through the World Bank, administered by the World Bank. We have to use official name. And this project will, the aim is that by December 2020, 85 women will have a job enabling them to earn a living in the food sector in Istanbul. So it's quite an aggressive target, an aggressive challenge. So we are currently reaching out the women, trying to find them in different regions of Istanbul. Then we're going to start developing business. So that means that the women will not especially be cooking, but they might be having the contact with the farmers for the supply of the product. They might be doing the marketing, they might be doing the sales. We hope we can set up some kind of kindergarten, because this is really an issue. We'll see what it gets. So it's not only about opening, a manufactory or a factory, but it's really the whole ecosystem around it. And so we have 2 years to find a woman, to find a business we want to set up, and also to train the woman in this different category. So some women might not have a marketing degree, but they are very, for example, they can sell very good, they can speak, they love to speak, they love to sell their product and so on, so we can put them in sales. Some others are better on their own, and they're more very dedicated to details and so on, so maybe they will be more interesting for administration or something like that. Then we have to train all these women to get there. So this is in a summary what we are doing.
Thank you. So before continuing, I think there is a hospital director who wants to give us more speech.
Yes,
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Welcome to our hospital. Today is very important for women, all of the world women. We are also talking about supporting them all the world in because some of them really needs the help, especially like this organization. In my country, this problem is always continuing. Also, these certain problems after they came to our country, and they have much more suffer from these problems. I think this is the starting of the helping them. We want to help support this meeting. Thank you very much to welcome here, and I am congratulations for the Women's Day, especially today, and support to all the women. Thank you very much. Bizim bir şeyimiz var.
And patience, a beautiful bouquet of flowers will come out. Natasha, s'il vous plaît. Madame responsable, this was all we need.
Thank you. In the name of Istanbul Accueil, the French association here, we are really happy to set up this event here today, and thank you very much.
Thank you. So, my first question is about the main challenges you faced working with women. Sandrine, you've just talked a little about it before. You all work with women, and I think it's a special community, so there are special challenges. So, what were the main challenges you faced working with women? And also, what kind of message do you want to communicate them?
Well, for us, the main challenges are that we are working with a group of women who are left out of the workforce. So they do not have this mindset of a worker. They do not know what commitment means. We're not doing charity, none of us is doing charity. And it's something very, very important that they work hard, and they get paid for their work. But this requires also a commitment from them. And this is a process which sometimes takes time to settle, and so that they get used to it. Most of those women never worked in their entire lives. It's the first time they have a job ever. In their culture, if we talk about Syrian refugees, even the middle-class women were women who were stay-at-home women. They were taking care of their families and of their homes. They were not professionals before even coming here. So we are trying to take those individuals and squeeze them into a working routine and habits and requirements. So this process takes a little bit of time, and this is, I believe, the most difficult part of what we're doing. From us to be able to adapt to them, and from them to be able to adapt to the working requirements.
In all the projects and all the community centers that I worked with, including the Women to Women Refugee Kitchen, all of us, I think, put whatever we do in a different perspective. For example, you do it on an entrepreneurship and then, workplace sort of thing, and you do it as a different thing, and you do it as a different thing. And the places that I work with, we have a position that strictly, mostly, relies on solidarity. So this means that a Syrian woman or a Turkish woman or a Turkish man or a Syrian man or whoever, whatever nationality they are from, if they're living in that community, that means they have to commit to that community as well. So by providing a kitchen, a physical space that you're more than welcome to visit, it's very close here actually, it's not made a physical safe space. Okay, yes, we found a space, the volunteers actually found funds for it, and the refugee women can cook and do all kinds of wonderful things there, and have a place for their children to be there as well. But they have to understand, which is a very new thing for them, and it's something that we learn as well, is that giving back to the community that they are now living in is just as important as making a livelihood. And making them understand that is also very difficult because they're having a very hard time here. And they're still living in very bad conditions. And demanding solidarity or commitment or those sorts of things puts us in a mindset that sometimes seems unfair to them. But as we all probably go through, we spend hours and hours talking and just chatting or dancing or listening to music or cooking and doing things together. And when you say the Syrian refugee population or the community here, like you said, in our kitchen we have 17 women, and most of them are from different parts of Syria. So some of them don't even speak the same language. Some of them speak Kurdish, some of them speak Arabic. They cook very differently. They use very different spices. They have very different traditions and things that they are used to. So it's not a very Syrian community sort of thing. All women, put 17 women in one room together and try and decide on a menu, and then that's one of the challenges that we face. Everybody wants to cook something different, and it is a learning curve for us as well. But like I said, we try to instill the message of solidarity and building a life together with your neighbors. Doesn't matter whether they're Syrian, doesn't matter we're Turkish or anything else, is one of the main messages that we try to give out. And that's very hard in this day and age. It's 2019, and I live on the Asian side, and I don't know most of my neighbors. I know most of my neighbors in Okmeydan and Yarımburgaz, the communities that I work in, but I don't know most of my neighbors in my apartment because it's the realities of 2019. That's one of the challenges that we face.
Okay, our challenges are manifold. Since we didn't start actually working with the women directly at first, we were working mainly with the children. And then when you look at the children and you see all the things that the children need in the sense of, say, nutrition, for example, or health care, or just psychosocial support, or just how the children are adapting to a new life, you kind of start thinking about what is the solution for this. And then from there you go into the larger problem of why is the child going through this. And okay, so the child is traumatized because there are problems at home. Why are there problems at home? Because the father is out of work and there is no food in the house for the child to eat. Why is the child going to sleep so late? And then, so you look at the child and then you understand all these problems that a particular child is going through, and then you realize all the children are going through very similar problems, which is how we then started working with the women, because it was, we realized that a lot of the men did not have work because of work permit problems here, and so we thought it might be a good way for the family to make some income if we had the women do something. But that was not an easy thing. The women that we work with come from very traditional backgrounds, and I come from a similar background. You may not think so, but I do. I did have to grapple with a lot of the same things that the women that I'm working with do. The same problems of the female child not being allowed, certain roles in society. And when you grow up also, you're not supposed to do a lot of the things. So I knew where the women were coming from, and I kind of understand their limitations. So we try to work around that. And as you said, the women have not, and as you said as well, the women have not worked outside the home at all. And a lot of the women who would come would say, this is so hard because in Syria, I didn't have to go out at all, and everything would come to the house. And I would say, but isn't that kind of like boring that you're just sitting at home and everything is coming to you? Don't you want to like see outside? And so we would have conversations like this about what is better, whether it's better to sit at home and get everything at home, and is that like a lifestyle that is exciting, or is it like nice to like go out and explore also? So we try to find a middle ground for things, and we also thought of this option of giving the women work that they could do at home, which we do for a lot of the women who are not able to come to the center. We do have options of them working at home. But we also realized that coming to the center gave them a sense of community, and it gave them a sense of solidarity with other women, and it helped them make a network among themselves and among the women the volunteers who work there. And they saw a lot of other cultures and other women from other backgrounds, and having discussions with among themselves and with the women volunteers, it gave them, it gives us all fresh ideas, and not just the refugee women, the Syrian women, but all of us. And it gives us like a lot of fresh ideas on how to look at the world. And also one of the challenges that we face constantly is that because of the gender relations, and as I said, they come from traditional backgrounds where the roles are very, very strictly divided between the man and the woman. And the women are not supposed to go out, not supposed to work, not supposed to bring any money. And if they do, then the money belongs to the man. And even if the woman is earning it, it has to go to the man. And she's not allowed any say on how the money is to be spent. And so this is a problem, but again, through our financial literacy programs and things, we are also talking to the women about, what is the role that money plays in your life? How is money going to help you, and how is earning money going to empower you? And I read something that I really liked, which was charity is when you feed a woman a fish and she gets to eat for a day. Education is if you teach a woman to fish and she can eat for a lifetime. But social entrepreneurship is if you teach a woman the fishing business and then she feeds the entire village for a lifetime. And so that's what we believe we are doing here by teaching the women the fishing business. So they can feed themselves, they can feed their children, they can feed the entire village. But that comes with its own list of issues and problems that you have to deal with. As I said, not least of which is the men's reactions to the women's work. And we've seen that since the women started coming to the center, there has been an increase, unfortunately, in domestic violence that the women face because they're becoming economically empowered, and that is kind of setting off a chain reaction. But we are also working on that. For example, if there's a woman who's faced domestic violence, then we tell her what her rights are in this case and what she can do to protect herself, where she can go. We refer her to other organizations, we refer her to other options that she has. And that's also working to empower the women to think for themselves, and they don't want to take this views anymore. So it's multifaceted, the work that we do. It's like, I say we are not just making bags. We are, there's a lot of things that is going on behind each bag. Every bag that we are making, every little, scrub that we are making, every little thing that we are making has a big story behind it. It has it has a whole woman's psyche. It has a whole woman's life. Those stitches hold a lot of things. They're not just simple stitches. And but we are seeing, even though we've only been doing this for 3 months, and we are seeing a lot of change in the women's attitudes. For example, now today we've had 2 of our artists who have come with us, and that was also like a big big thing that they could come with us today. And they've never been to this area. They did not know where we were. So they've been here for 3 or 4 years, but they have never ventured out to this site. So just coming here with the bags and sitting here is something that's, that it's amazing that they've been able to come. Which is why I brought one of my students also. So she's gone to sleep, but yeah, so she's, that's what she does in class. When I start speaking, she goes to sleep. So, and I believe that women empower women, and empowered women empower women more. So as empowered women, I think it's our responsibility that we share power with women who don't have power. And not by forcing power on them, but by working together with them, walking together with them, holding hands when needed, giving a little push when it's needed. And I would say that's one of the challenges that we have. When do you push? When do you hold a hand? When do you stand back and say, okay, this is your decision, and I have no say in this. I will support you if this is what you want to do. Like feeling very helpless, but at the same time knowing when to, when your role is not needed. So yeah.
Maybe I just want to come back on two things you just said. We used to work in Gaziantep with a very talented lady, Ajar. She was doing crochet. We introduced her to Bebe Mas as well. She was working with 6 or 7 women. She was producing, she was selling in Istanbul and so on. But there was an issue. When we were discussing about finance, you could see that she didn't know. I was asking how many raw materials do you buy, I'm not sure, and so on. And after a while, we realized that actually she didn't have any say on the money. So whatever she was selling, she was giving the husband, and when she was saying, okay, I need some tissue, the husband was going to fetch the tissue. So what you said about really learning them the business, this is important. This is what makes the difference. This is what makes them powerful. Because if it's just to work at home, receiving some order and then giving it back, it's good, of course, but it's not enough. What we saw also, for example, we started all 3-4 years ago, and at that moment it was very difficult for a woman to go out because the husband didn't want. When we went to Gaziantep, we interviewed, at least we spoke 125 women, I think, and most of the women, what they were saying is that, of course, our husband do not want us to go out, but we need the money now. And they've seen that Turkish women are going out and so on, so they feel more comfortable letting us go. The problem that I'm seeing is that this woman will start to become more financially independent, more, even not financially, but even more self-confident. And then what we saw, for example, in Gaziantep, is that you have an increase in the divorce rate. So not domestic violence, we didn't have that, but more the divorce. And so the husband knows that, and so they're pulling back. So I think it's very important. It's also when we speak about gender equality and the Woman Day and so on, it's very important to involve the men in the process as well. So for example, we have this new project, and we make sure, we want to interview the man of the family before the woman engage in the project, but it's also an intention to have every quarter a meeting with the man of the family, and also, with the tese and the stepmother and so on. Mother-in-law, sorry. Because they're very important, and maybe some of you, you've been working and you know that sometimes you're coming back late and your mother-in-law is coming and saying, oh, your children, they only receive petit food and not real food, and you feel guilty because you go working. You know that? Yeah, okay, so you do that time hundreds of thousands for them, so they really need the family to support them. So it's really important that not only we work on the woman, but we also work on the family, which for us it makes, again, something else that we have to do. The other things I wanted also, when you were saying people were coming here, what I realized recently, I know that for most of the women, transportation is an issue. I cannot ask them if they are in Sultan Beyli to go fetch some raw materials in Kapala Sharche, because it's too far away. But recently I was at Yusra, and we were discussing about the potential project of Ekip, and then I was saying, okay, but if you have so many women, maybe we can have a training center in Eminönü. And Eminönü to Yusra is about 2 kilometers, I think. And they said, so far. And then I was like, really, not shocked, because you think, I mean, we're learning, so we said, okay, this is this. And then I realized, I think, for most of the women, they were really living in the villages with all the relatives that they knew from 100 or 200 years, and the community was very strong. It's not especially the distance, it's not to go to Capella Chercheur or to go to Eminono, it's to go to a place that they don't know. It's to face, you know, I'm not going to say they are shy, but it's to make a step outside of the comfort zone, and it has been already very hard for them to come all the way to there. So it's very interesting to keep speaking with them and learning from them, and to see, I mean, how do we address this kind of challenge?
I would like to talk about you a little, because you all are four inspiring women. Could you tell us what were the main advantages? Shahla, you said women empower women. So what are the main advantages of being a woman, social female entrepreneur and woman working with women for you?
Advantages.
Yes.
I think that has to be.
I think there are a lot of difficulties being, of course, female entrepreneur, but you know, I think you also, by saying that women empower women, that is easier maybe for you or not, working with women. You also say, Sandrine, that you have to deal with the husband and with all the men of the family. Is it a difficulty or not? Or, I mean, yeah, you being a woman, a social entrepreneur.
I'll lead the way.
Thank you.
It's not very inspiring. One of the things that I always say in these talks and in these round tables that, you know, we a lot of us go to is that I think we were somehow pushed into this. I think none of us had in mind what was going to happen when we started volunteering, or when we started Jen, or when we came to Yusra. Yusra wasn't even there, I remember. And I've known her for a long time because of personal friendships and stuff. But I think it's a part of being it's not a part of being a good person, but doing the right thing. So it's not a matter of being a woman and trying to empower women around you, or for me, I'm speaking personally, but it is a matter of doing the right thing. That if I belong to this community, and I've been living in Istanbul for the past, 20 years, but I lived in the States all my life and stuff before that. If I know that I'm in this community as a woman, and I know, I probably didn't suffer like you did, because I had a middle class background and stuff. And I think it's a part of proving that you belong to this community. And I know as expats, maybe you are in a different boat, but as a woman, I know that a lot of the women that I work with have faced horrible things. And I faced maybe just a tiny bit of it all my life. And they have suffered death, they have suffered migration, they still suffer from discrimination. And as a woman, you're already discriminated against. And even if I work for a big, school, and I have a nice job and everything, every day, as I was coming here in the metro bus today, things happen to you. So you have a way of understanding, or sharing the same conversation with them in a way. But I cannot ever say that I understand what they have gone through, or I can never tell them that I know I understand you. I can never say that, because, but all I can do is, like you said, you walk next to them and say, okay, it's 2019, we're in Shishdik, and we're gonna cook together. So you find a common path for you as a woman with a woman. And involving men is also, I think, important as well. And not rocking the boat on that dynamic is also very important, because you can expect, like, I can say, okay, ladies, we have a order for 8 p.m. on Friday. Who's going to deliver it? And they can look at me like, 8 p.m.? Who goes out at 8 p.m. without their husbands? And it's very normal for me, but it's not normal for you. So it's a different understanding for us as well. Your expectations of what you're volunteering for, what you're working for, has to adapt to their realities of life. So, is that a little bit of an answer or no?
The advantage, I believe, is because they're women and because we can, at a tiny, tiny perspective, relate to what they're going through. We have maybe an advantage of being able to understand them a little bit better. Because I'm a mom of 3. I know what it is having 3 kids running around and being difficult, and having my husband coming home saying, "Oh, there's no food at home." I can understand that. Exactly. It makes it better. But that's really it, I guess. Other advantages, I believe that all the women community, the advantage we have in general is that because we are mothers and because we are educating those to come, we are educating the kids, we have the power to transmit something very important and to change the world. I believe that as a mother. So I do, they do, we all do.
Yeah, like Zeynep said, I don't know if I think of myself as a man or a woman or as coming from a particular gender. But yes, I do have some, different kind of thinking because of my gender. And also, again, I have gone through this I come from a traditional society as well. So I've gone through some of the things that a woman from a traditional society might face. So I kind of know where, where the women are coming from, what kind of, pressures are on them to conform to the roles. And for me, because I'm educated and I had the economic advantage, it was easy for me to break these gender norms. And it's not for them, even though, I went through a struggle against the social and cultural norms that were around me. To break those norms, it was a struggle for me, but because of my advantages, I felt like it was easy for me. And they don't have those same advantages, so I cannot offer them those same solutions of the solutions that I had. But because I went through those, I can at least understand that they're coming through this and that I don't push my ideas on them, and I work organically with them to come up with their own solutions. How do you do this? Like, for example, in the morning when we had to come, one of the women, her husband said, you can only go if there is no man going with you. And yes, there is a man going with us, but we were like, okay, so the man is coming separately, So we sent him off in the bus before us. And we were like, yes, he's not coming with us. He's not in the bus with us. So I can't say no. There will be men there, and when you go there will be men. There will be men in the metro. What are you going to do? Are you going to say, no, my wife only sits alone by herself on the seat? No. But we can't, what is the point of fighting? What is the point of saying, no, she is going to come, and then he slaps her and he tells her she can't go? So you work around these things, and because you know that you've come. I've done this a lot with my parents, Are you going for a party? No, I'm going to study. And then, of course, you're partying, So, because you won't be allowed. So you say, no, you're going for, you do these things. So
I don't.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I believe you. So you work out a way of breaking the social and cultural norms a little bit, where you're not hurting anybody, and you're just trying to find your little bits of independence that you can from wherever you can, and you're working slowly, and then you hopefully get to a place where you feel a little empowered. So that is I would say, as a woman, that is my advantage. And in terms of the work that we do and the timings, and for example, childcare, I know that it's very important that the women have childcare if they're to be able to work do any kind of work, it's important that somebody is taking care of the child. And in the space that the women are in now, they don't have that family structure or that family group around them that can take care of the child. And I went through that. I did not, I was working as a filmmaker, and I used to carry my child with me when I would go to make my films. And I would, make her sit somewhere, and then I would be doing my work. So I've done that, so I know that it's how important it is. And so we give them the option of having child, leave your child somewhere and then you work, or if there's a baby, then we have people around to take care of the children while they are working. So yeah, those are the advantages. Maybe a man may not think that it's important that somebody take care of the child. They'll be like, yeah, here's a candy, go sit.
I think the empathy, having been, not through there, but understanding the importance. I'm seeing Isa. I was asking where is Eva, because since I think the next day after she gave birth, Isa was busy with Eva, so everybody was not. It was very disturbing because everybody was playing with Eva instead of with listening to Isa. But so you understand, in terms of business and the constraint of having children, having husband, having family, you understand that at least. So you have more patience. When we were looking at some stage for mentor for Gaziantep, I was like thinking, if I have a man mentor, he will say, okay, you need to do this, the next week it's not done. Okay, if it's not done, what do you want me to do? I think as women we are a little bit more, I would say tender, or maybe it's just me, I don't know. I was also wondering if your question was also related as us as a woman, do we like to be social entrepreneur? There is this thing about, you're an entrepreneur, you're working for yourself and the life is so easy. And maybe this is what you want us to learn, that it's so nice because we have children and we have the free time and we can, organize us whenever we want. Just recently, I think yesterday, I had to wake up very early for another reason. So around 5:30, I was there and I said, okay, what do I do? Let's start working. Then I checked the WhatsApp and I saw that Isa was already awake and that Olga was already awake. Not always, but already. And I'm sure this happened as well. We do have freedom in the sense that we are here today, not behind a computer. But I think most of us are waking up very early before the children are waking up so that we can work, and working very late. Most of us, I don't think we earn a lot of money doing these kind of things. So I think we love what we are doing. Of course, I hope, not sure for you, but for Izabela and me, we're trying to live out of it. But it's a passion. You have to be passionate about what you want to do, and why do we want to do it? This I'm still not sure. But I think like you said, we coming. It's the way the things of giving back. You've lived through there. You've seen what it is. You know that you have the capabilities to support others. And you have the skills and you can make a difference, then it's awesome. When I'm seeing the work Delphine is doing, in 3 months' time, what she's done for Yusra, this is amazing. She should be on the scene as well, because she sees the design, and she decides to put all her energy into that. I think it gives me goosebumps. But I think this is really nice. And do we need to be women for that? I don't think so. But apparently there are more women in our case doing it. So.
Okay, so I don't know, maybe some of you have questions? Don't be shy. No? Okay, maybe I have one more, but we only have 5 minutes more, so if you can briefly tell me what are the lessons you've learned these last years working with women and working in this social project?
I think my biggest lesson is I am feeling very humble. I'm feeling extremely humble, and I am feeling extremely grateful for what has been given to me. And we are maybe not in our busy lives, not always appreciating what we have, but when you have the reality of somebody who lost it or who doesn't have it, then you realize the value of all you have around you and the chance we have. And I'm very humble for the work and for the experiences and towards those people I'm working with.
I think we all learn so many lessons every day. But it is a very personal and very tough question, so thank you. But not just last year, but ever since I've been volunteering for these causes, I've learned I'm the kind of person who deals with things by just trying to fix them. You face a problem and you fix it, and I usually can't. But after working with several different communities, I've learned to embrace the fact that I can fail and there are things that I cannot fix. And embracing them allows me to actually keep working. That was, I think, the biggest lesson.
My biggest lesson, I think, is that we all need to be in this together, and we cannot give up. And we have to, and it's only us, common, normal people, we are the ones who can make the difference. And we cannot leave the world to the governments or the people in charge. We can't just sit and say, okay, it's their job, they have to do it. No, it's everybody's job, we all have to do it. And it's only when we step forward. This was not my work. I'm a filmmaker. I was not a social entrepreneur. I was not, I was not involved in any of this before. But when I saw, I lived in India before coming here, and when I saw that there were things that needed my input or that I could do this, I was in a position to do something. I started a community center for migrant children in Bombay, which is the city that I come from. And I just thought, because before that I used to just sit and think, why isn't anybody doing anything about this? Why are the children on the roads? Why are they not in school? Why don't they have this? And then I said, but why am I not doing anything about this? And that was the question that I asked myself, and that was the lesson also I would say that I learned, is that this is a question we need to ask ourselves, why are we not doing anything about this? And so, that's the lesson, that we all need to be doing this and we all need to be in this.
Thank you. It's difficult to come after that. For me also it was about it's been 4 or 5 years I'm busy with civil society, and where I understand that not everybody is thinking like me, and taking the time to listen to the people, but also have these preconceived ideas that we have. For example, in Gaziantep we are working with 2 or 3 ladies, they completely cover, they're completely covered. But then they're coming, you think, okay, maybe most of them uneducated, but sometimes they're coming and they have prepared everything, they have made the figures, not on Excel because they cannot use Excel, but on a piece of paper. And, for example, when I'm explaining them a balance sheet and I realize that for them left is right and right is left, and it's very confusing, and they absorb all of it, and they really want to do something out of it, and they're doing their homework, they're doing everything. I'm so motivated. Honestly, when I go to Yusra, I'm very excited every time, because every time I'm like, this is like the fact last time, for example, that I realized that they don't want to work together, they want to work alone. This was really for me a haha, and this story between Balat and Eminonu, I was also surprised. And the fact that we can keep this opening of mind, and that we shouldn't have our ideas saying this is the way it should be and they should just apply it because this is the program, and that we should adapt ourselves to how they feel, how they can do, and this is very important. And this is also for me very enriching. That's why I like to come to this.
Oh, that's beautiful. Not the time.
Thank you very much. I think it's okay. We're on time. Thank you again.
Thank you very much for sharing your stories. Very inspiring, really.